Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Dynamics 365 Tech Talk. Today's topic is what's new in October 2020 release for Configurable Business Documents. My name is Ross, and I'll be your moderator today. We are broadcasting this web conference through Teams live events, and the audio can be heard through your device speakers. Today's web conference is being recorded on behalf of the Microsoft Corporation. By participation in this session using Microsoft Teams, your name, email address, phone number, and/or title may be viewable by other session participants. If you do not consent to being part of a recorded session, please disconnect at this time. The recording will be available on the TechTalk's Community Dynamics page within 5 business days. If you have questions for the presenters or need support, please use the Q&A panel located on the right side of your screen. Our presenters will be responding to your questions at the end with a verbal Q&A also. Thank you for your patience during these announcements. Now on to the presentation. Presenting for us today from Microsoft, we have Mikhail Filatov, Principal Engineering Lead, and Nikolay, Selin, Senior Program Manager. Mikhail, over to you.
Thank you, Ross. Hi, everybody. I will do our new tech talk on configurable business documents. For some of you who have been following our product, right, it's the third tech talk, right? So we'll be concentrating mostly on the new functionality, new features, which we are releasing in the October 2020 release, but also we'll do an end-to-end demo covering features which have been available before, right? So the agenda is pretty simple. I will do a quick overview what configurable business documents are about and main personas. Then we'll talk about new features for October release. After that, Nikolay will do a lot of cool demos showing these features, and we will be responding to your questions during this presentation as well, but we'll have a dedicated time for Q&A when we'll be talking with you, answering this question, so other people would also hear it. And also we'll provide some Q&A after the session is available. Okay, just a quick overview of configurable business documents. We're targeting 2 personas, Simon and Phyllis. And Simon is a functional consultant, so he is not a developer, but he is quite technical and he knows a lot of functionality. And we have released for Simon the tool called electronic reporting. It's available since the beginning of FNO cloud version. And Simon has a lot of power. He can create new versions of reports. He can do a lot of formulas, mappings, etc. Right? And we have released quite a lot of configurations from Microsoft, more than 400, and our partners and customers have released thousands of them on top of electronic reporting framework. What we have done for configurable business documents, we are targeting also another persona. We call it her Phyllis, and she is really a business user, right? So she knows her stuff, right? She is working on accounting, right? Manages an accounting department. She knows Office pretty well, right? But she is not technical, right? And we have created a new workspace specifically for her called Business Document Management Workspace, where she can do the last mile of customizing these business documents, right? So she can edit invoices, packing slips in Office UX, either Office Online or Office Desktop. At the same time, everything which she does is available in electronic reporting. Behind the scenes, we create all the versioning, all the things which Simon can do as well. So Simon, in his user interface, can also create all those documents, and Nikolay will also do a demo where he will show how Simon and Phyllis can work together to achieve a business scenario. Right? And obviously, after all these documents, reports are created, you can publish them to what we call global repo or LCS. So they're available in different environments for your users. Now let's talk about new features in the October 2020 release. So first of all, we are making generally available two features which have been in public preview since April release. It's conversion to PDF and direct printing support, right? So we talked about these features at the previous TechTalk, and we have been working with our partners and customers in public preview mode, right? Listening to the feedback, and some of this feedback actually resulted in new features which we're delivering now. And now we are making these features generally available, right? So we believe they are quite resilient, right? And for you to use in production, right? What we have done, listening to the feedback of these two features, right? We have released enhancement, each feature called select a page orientation for PDF conversion. Basically, it allows you to set up for your Office document, if you convert it to PDF, page orientation, right? Because before it was only landscape was available. Now you can choose whether you want portrait or landscape when you convert it to PDF, and obviously after that, if you send it to the printer. Also, barcode support is quite a hot topic, and we heard this feedback that barcode support is needed, right? So we have added barcode generation data source, and it's available both in Simon experience in electronic reporting and in Phyllis experience in business document management. So both of these personas can add barcode data source to business document, and you see the list of the barcode types which we support, right? Also, like in electronic reporting, we support both Excel and Word as a template for business document. But in the content from Microsoft, we have released Excel templates for all the documents which are supported in print management. And we heard that, like in many cases, depending on your scenario, depending on your document, Word can be a better tool, right? So we have started to release Word templates for business documents, and as of now, we released 12 templates from Microsoft, right? And we are working on delivering other templates, so stay tuned. We'll have more news on this as we progress. So that was all for the overview, and now I'm switching to Nikolay, right? And he will do demos of this functionality.
Thank you, Mikhail. Good morning, everyone. Let me start our demo. And the first feature that I would like to present you, that's a feature that will help you to generate business documents containing barcodes, especially when you use Excel templates for doing that. Initially, we introduced this possibility, but for making barcodes, you need to use special barcode fonts, like it's shown in this example, for example. And you can generate such documents, and those barcodes are properly presented in the generated documents when you preview them either in Excel desktop application or in the Office Online. But when you convert such documents to the PDF format, those barcodes are not properly rendered because Excel does not support embedded fonts, and PDF conversion service does not work with non-standard Windows fonts. And the feature that I would like to present you helps you to resolve this issue. So for this demo, I will use the business document management, and I will use the sales order packing slip template that I've uploaded to the current finance instance in advance. I will create my version of this template, and we'll start editing it in the business document management editor. So, for example, what I can do, I may decide that this document should present the packing slip number as a barcode for the machine scanning. And what I can do right now, I can just start from the inserting to this template a placeholder for my barcode, and I will just pick 300 by 70 pixels blank image and put it to my document as a placeholder for the barcode. If you take a look at the structure of our template currently, since we did those changes in the only template, jar is not aware yet about our modifications. So that's why here I have no this picture one element. So to synchronize the actual content of my template with the structure in jar, I need to click this update structure button. And after that, I expect that in my structure, I will have this new item. So it's here. So now I need to bind it with the data source to generate the barcode. And I will just enable the possibility to see my data sources. And you can just take a look at the already available bindings. And you can see that, for example, the packing slip number is bound to the model ID value field of the data source. That's the path that will return the actual packing slip number. So what I will do, I will find this data source and select it. And here, as you can see, the bind option is enabled to me, which looks a bit strange because, as you can see, this data source returns to me the packing slip number as a text, while we selected here the picture format element that expect to finally get the binary content of the barcode image. But if you click on it, you will see that there is a very simple explanation that actually system offers to you the possibility to create a new data source of the barcode type that will convert your packing slip number as a text to the blob of your barcode image. What you can do, you can specify parameters of your data source. You can select one of the currently supported types of the barcode. I will select this one. Actually, as Michael said, we support just about 12 or 15 type of codes. Most of them are one-dimensional, but 2 or 3 of them are two-dimensional codes. So they can be generated by using this data source as well. So you can specify the size of the barcode. By default, it's defined based on the size of the selected placeholder. You can specify margin just to have a grayed out area around a generated barcode for better scanning. And also you can select the option allowing you to show on the bottom of the barcode image the text of the packing slip number. Just it's important if there is a document where you will present the only barcode and there will be no separated fields presenting the same code as a text. So we can do that, and here you can see that a new data source has been created, and here you will see that this data source is called by using the selected data source as an argument, and that's how this binding has been generated. So we will save our changes, and now we will go to our print management settings and change it, selecting our modified template. So after that, we will go to our list of sales order, select one where we have the packing slip journal, and we'll start generating the sales order packing slip report. Since we have not configured any destination yet, we expect that it will be delivered as an Excel file downloaded by the using browser. Here it is. We'll open it. And as you can see here, we have the barcode generated. So now your document is ready to be scanned by the special device. So now let's take a look how it will look like if you would configure the electronic destination to convert this document to the PDF format. So what we will do, we will find our modified template, select the format element that must be converted, select the PDF conversion, and we will just select the screen destination for our purpose. So now we will just regenerate our document. Oh no, since we have not published yet our template, this template is in draft status. So that's why by default, jar destinations are not applicable for the draft versions, and we need to either publish our template to change his status from draft to completed, or we need to force jar to use draft versions as a completed, because sometimes it's useful when you when you know that your changes are not completed and you would like to continue editing this template. So instead of making the completion many times, you can say, okay, I would like to use jar destinations for the draft templates. So now we'll go to our list of documents and we'll recreate our report. And now you can see that we have this document converted to PDF, and PDF contains this barcode, and it's properly rendered. So that's how you can generate barcodes and have them in your PDF documents to avoid this issue with non-supported special barcode fonts. So that's the first feature that I would like to show you. The second one, Michael already mentioned that initially when we introduced the PDF conversion, you were not able to control the page orientation of the final documents that you've received when you generate documents and convert them to PDF. All the PDF documents generated based on the Excel templates were always in landscape page orientation. Now, probably you already noticed that when I've configured the jar destination for our report, you have now the possibility to select either portrait or landscape orientation for the final PDF document. So now it's under your control, and we remove the initial limitation when you have the only one kind of page orientation available. The third option, the third feature that we recently released, that's what I would like to show to you. That's the feature, the jar data source debugger that can help mostly Simon, but Phyllis also can use this feature to understand what kind of data is available in every jar component, which is used when you design your reports based on the templates, either Excel or Word templates, and when you finally generate these documents. And we can continue using our sales order packing slip. Let's assume that, for example, Phyllis noticed that this template is designed to show the customer phone number. But when she took a look at the document, she could see that this phone number is missing in the final document. Despite the fact that if you go to our document that we used for that, it's a customer US001, we will see that actually the phone number is available for the customer US001. So something is not okay with her template. And she can just continue working with this template. Take a look at the bindings. She can just take a look at the format element responsible for publishing this data. And she will see that this format element is bound to the blank or empty string. And now it's clear why the final report contains no phone number, because it always will populate the empty string to the report. So it means that either some data is not available or some settings were not properly finalized. So Phyllis is not sure whether is everything okay for her to continue, and she can ask Simon, I have this issue, can you help me to resolve it? And Simon can say, yes, I can do that. And Simon can do the following. Simon can go to the configurations page, open user parameters, and say that I would like to use the data debugger feature for analyzing all the components which are used when Phyllis is running the report which use the template she modifies. So after that, she can just Simon can just start making the same report. But at the time when everything is ready to start making this document, a new dialog is offered for Simon, whether he would like to continue making this report or he would like to start debugging the data sources using to generate this report. And when he select the debugging option, he will just jump to a new user interface where he can select the required component and start just debugging the content of this component. For example, he can start from the format component. Actually, he will see here the same structure as Phyllis can see on the business document management editor. And he can take a look at this. And like Phyllis already found out, he will see that it's bound to the empty string. So that's why he can say, okay, what will happen if I will execute this format? And he can say, give me this value. So actually here he will see the same value as Phyllis will see in the final document, but it's just in the debugger. So he understands that this binding should be replaced. So now the question is whether the format mapping of the using format contains the appropriate data source to be bound to this format element. And he can switch to the format mappings, and he can take a look at the model. And as he's aware that behind every packing slip we have a customer, he can say, okay, I want to use the accounting customer party. And here he could find even the contact content, and he can see that there is a phone number. So it looks like the data model structure is ready to provide Phyllis with the proper phone number. And when he click get this value, he will see the error message saying that, yeah, this field is available, but in the model mapping, that the third kind of the component, this field is not bound to any application table and application field. So there is no application data source available to fill in this field. So that's why he can say, okay, for me now it's clear that I need to modify the model mapping. So now let's take a look, what do we have in the model mapping currently? And he can see that there is a sales packing slip header. That's a main data source using to produce this report. And since he's aware that for every packing slip, he has a customer, and for every packing slip there is only one customer, he will try to expand the list of many-to-one relations between this data source and some other potential data sources for which relations are implemented, assuming that somewhere there will be the data source pointing to the record of the customer for which this packing slip is created. And he will say, okay, there is a accounted customer record list. And he can say, okay, that's probably something I'm looking for. And he can just see that it's a list of records. So that's why he can say, okay, I would like to read all records I have in this data source. And as expected, he will find only one record in this data source. Just to make sure that he's looking at the proper record, he can say, okay, show to me what's the customer account number I have for this record, for this customer. He will select this field in this data source and say, get this value. And he can say, okay, that's a proper customer. So in this case, probably it's a right data source. And what I need to do just to find the method returning to me the phone number and say, okay, give it to me. And he will see that that's exactly the phone number that we have in the customer data, in the contact details. And that's what Phyllis would like to see in her report. So now Simon used the data debugger to go through all the components available, and it's clear to him what must be modified. So what he can do, he can go to the list of configurations. He will select provided by Microsoft model mapping configuration containing model mapping component. He will create the derived version of it to implement his modifications. He will select the packing slip mapping because there is another one for purchase order packing slips. And what he will do, he will find on the data model side the field that should be bound. And on the data source side, he will just go to the same field that he explored in the debugger. And he will just bind them. He will save changes. And now he has this model mapping in the draft status. And like with the template, he should either complete it, or if he would like to continue working with this, because probably it's not the final stage of his modifications, he can say, I would like to see run settings, and he can say, I would like to consider this draft version as virtually completed to be available for execution. And since right now we have two model mappings provided by Microsoft and modified by Contosa, we need to explicitly tell GR which one should be used when Phyllis will run her report. He will say, okay, I would like to use the Contosa model mapping. So now when he did that, he could say, Phyllis, okay, now you can use the data source I've modified in your template. And what Phyllis can do, she can just find this element of her report. After that, he will just select the field of the data model, the binding of which Simon changed in the model mapping. And as you can see right now, the phone number has no exclamation mark, means that it's bound to the actual field of the application table. She will click bind, save her changes, and try to regenerate this report. She don't want to do debugging. She wants just to generate the report. And now, as you can see, she could see right now in the report the phone number of this customer. So that's how Simon and Phyllis could communicate and how Simon could use this new data source debugger feature to quickly analyze what kind of data is exposed by certain components using to generate the business documents. And it's very useful, especially when you need to analyze, change, and modify such a components when they have been initially configured by someone else, and you are not quite sure whether it's the correct data or not, whether it's a proper approach or not. So it's much easier just to do this analysis by looking at the actually returned data. If you need more information about that, you can open the electronic reporting wiki pages. And here there is a tutorial explaining how to work with data sources. Here there is a wiki page about the data source debugger. And the next one, it's about the barcode data source. So you can take a look and probably you will find answer to your questions here as well. So that's about those new features. And another feature that I would like to present to you, Michael already mentioned that in addition to the Excel-based templates, we have also Word-based templates. And now we have like around 12 of them. And I will try to show to you how it looks like, how it could be used, and what kind of templates we already have. I will just access the global repository. You can do it by using the global repo, or you can access the LCS-based shared asset library-based repository. And here, just to show the only Word-based templates, I will just try to use this filter. So here you will see what kind of templates we have right now that were configured based on Word documents. And what I will do, I will just import the sales order packing slip, which has been configured based on the Word template. And we can just take a look how it looks like and how it can be used. So I want just to remind you that we have a different technique to fill in Word templates by application data comparing with the Excel templates. In Excel, we are just copy-paste the content of the Excel template, filling in the final document based on the name Excels. So we are physically creating an Excel document, but we'll use Word. We do it in a bit different way. It can be, the explanation of this can be found in here, in this wiki page, but I will show briefly how it works. So I will go to the business document management. I will select the sales order packing slip Word. And again, I will just modify it, creating my version of it. And here you will see how it looks like. You can use Office Online to make changes in this template, headers, footers. You can change the content. But currently, the Office Online provides not many options for working with Word templates, because the technique that we use works in this way. When you design your document, you need to put to your template Word content controls. And after that, every control should be bound to the appropriate format element and that's what you can do at design time. And at runtime, GR just places to the final document the custom XML part in the structure of the format document containing actual data. And when the Word document is opened, this data is populated to the Word content controls by Word, not by GR. So I will just create the copy of this document and open it in the desktop app, because here you will see how it looks like. So that's the custom XML part representing at design time the structure of your data. And here you will see that you have plenty of content controls, and all of them are bound to certain elements of the custom XML part. So that's why at runtime, instead of this sample data, the actual data will be populated, and Word will use this data to fill in all those content controls. That's how it works. And now what we will do, we will just change our print management settings, selecting our sales order packing slip Word template for doing our reporting. We'll select the same sales order and we'll run it. So this document is generated, and now you can see that we have this sales order and the same content, but now it's Word document. And if you take a look at the XML, custom XML part, right now it contains actual data that GR placed to the generated document. It's also convertible to PDF, so in order to do that, you need to configure the same GR destination, selecting the PDF conversion option. I guess that's all about the new functionality that we would like to present you today. And now I guess it's time for Q&A, and we will answer to your questions that you shared with us.
Thank you, Nikolay. And again, we'll do a Q&A now, right? So we have some questions already published, right? So we will go through them, right? So I will just read them and we'll answer them. So let's start from the bottom, right? Can configurable business documents output to XML also with modifications? I know it's like basically we have electronic reporting, right? So basically this is the tool which is behind configurable business documents, right? And it's actually is designed to work with electronic formats like XML, JSON, CSV, right? So basically it's Simon experience, right? So you just go to this configuration tree, which Nikolay quickly demonstrated as well, right? And just create a new format, let's say type of XML in this case, right? And we also support, for example, you can import this example of an XML document to create the structure, right? Basically, the idea is the same. We have our format designer, which contains the structure, in this case of XML document. You can do the mapping to it, etc., right? And I would recommend you again to just have a look. We have a TechTalk on electronic reporting, which is covering this specific scenario, right? But yeah, short answer is yes. Long answer is yeah, you need to use electronic reporting, which is in the background of configurable business documents.
Yeah, and I shared the link to the wiki page showing some functionality where you can see some screenshots presenting how the format to generate an XML output looks like and how it can be used. So it's one of the samples you can find under the electronic reporting.
Yep, thank you, Nikolay. Next question, is it possible to call format execution from X++? Is there any public API documentation?
Yes, it's possible, and what I would recommend you to take a look at the quick start guide named "Designed a New Solution to Print a Custom Report," and it contains the details of the new components design, but it also includes some sample codes, what kind of methods should be implemented in what kind of classes, like contracts, calls of the GR API, etc. And if you take a look under the electronic reporting table of content, and the end there is a ER framework API table of content item, and behind under that there are several items dedicated to the GR API. So just take a look at this.
Okay, thank you, Nikolay. So let's go further. For sales invoices, if using barcodes, what information can a barcode contain? Can a barcode include invoice values, invoice dates, order numbers, invoice numbers, etc.? I mean, for configurable business documents, what's maximum information that can be incorporated into barcode?
So it's up to you. Mostly it depends on the possibilities of the barcode type you've selected, because you know that there are some limitations for some barcode types in size of the text to be converted to a barcode, in the type of using characters, etc. So if you selected the barcode which could be converted based on the quite a long text, you can just create this text by using GR expression builder, concatenating all the details you need to have in the barcode, and after that this barcode will be generated. So
yes. So basically, again, limitations
by barcode type, yes.
Exactly, right? So we don't have any limitation on our side, right? Again, from our mapping, right, we can actually use any data more or less, concatenate it, etc., right? But obviously barcode can have that, just many symbols, right? So that's what we have. Okay, so let's come back, right? We have several other questions. Do you know if anybody has already used the API in X++? Yes, yes.
Yes, and also you can find some topics that are related even to the extensibility points, because when people started using our API, they found some limitation. That's why we implemented several extensibility points, and mostly they are dedicated to the possibility to change the default destination for the generated documents, because people want to store generated documents not only in the supported by Dynamics by default locations like Azure Blob Storage and SharePoint. They can use other locations, and these extensibility points can be used for doing that.
Yeah, exactly. I think what Nikolay said, right? So we're getting like extensibility requests from our partners and customers. So like we know that it's already used, right? Because they are asking us to extend it so they can use it for their scenarios. Can you please post the link to the documentation shown? I think Nikolay, already.
Yes, I'm doing that. I will do it right now. Just the wiki pages about the data source debugger. And about the barcode.
Yes, so Nikolay will post links now, right? Is it possible to use it for a tail point of sale document?
As far as I'm aware, right now it's possible, but only for the document created in the headquarter, not on the store side.
Yeah, it's something that I think we may support, right? But it's like again our what we call runtime, right? It's C# DLLs, right? Which are like actually doing all this magic, all this conversion, right? Like they need to be deployed, right? But it's something, yeah, which we are aware of, right? So we may support it in the future, right? So, okay, let's see. We have one more question. Are there any alternatives to design XLX or Word formats for AR and business documents? I don't know what do you mean like by alternative, right? But again, we support again in electronic reporting, right? We support actually PDF as well, right? But it's fillable PDF, right? Which you can import.
Yeah, I will just try to find the link to this wiki page. Sometimes, yes, sometimes you might have some templates as a fillable PDF documents, and GR is capable to use such a PDFs as templates as well. So you can configure your format that will fill in the PDF template, generating the final PDF, and you can have you can use multiple different PDF templates within one document, and all of them could be merged into the final PDF document. And it can be done automatically. Just take a look at this page. It explains how it can be done. So usually, mostly it's used when you have, like, for example, the officially provided PDF template by government or some authorities, and you can just pick it up, import it to the GR format, and configure the format, explaining how those fields, named fields of the PDF template, should be filled in.
Okay, thank you, Nikolay. I think that, yeah, we don't have any other questions. So, oh yeah, we just got a new one again. So yeah, we have 10 minutes, guys. So if you have questions, just do them now, right? So, okay, we have one more question. For sending email, how do we create batch jobs to send email when generating the collection letters?
When you run the report, depending on the way how the jar is called from the X++, if you mention that the batch execution for this particular report is allowed in your jar API call, you will have the standard option specify the batch execution, where you can specify everything related to the batch, whether it's public or private, what will be the name of the job, whether it's recurrent or not. And based on that, when you start the jar report execution, actually it will create a new job with the parameters you specified. And after that, it will be executed like a normal job.
Yep. One more. Can we do conditional formatting in MS Word template?
I guess so, because actually everything you will place to the document, you can specify by using our jar expression builder, so you can make any conditions like if this, then this, etc. So what I would recommend you to take a look at the formula designer that is used in GR. And also, just a second, I will just copy paste the link. Formula designer and formula language. So you can take a look at the samples. I guess it will help you to understand that, yes, you can make any conditions you need. And based on this logic, the actual data will be placed to the document.
Okay, I think that Nikolay put it to this as a like question, but I think it doesn't matter, right? So also is there an option to select if I can send some documents on email or some to be printed on screens, right? So it depends on, like, again, first of all, right, in our AR destinations, right, you can choose any AR configuration, and business document is also AR configuration, right? and actually set up the destination there, right? So that's basically what you can do, and after that, just choose them in print management, right? So I don't know if your question is more about, like, for example, for different type of documents, like, for example, packing slip, you do one thing, or for the invoice, you do other, right? It's obviously possible, right?
Yeah, initially it's configured by using GR destinations, like what I've shown during the presentation. We've selected the screen destination, but in addition to screen, you can select email or archive or printer, something like that. And you can do it for every document you generate. And it's configured by the, I would say, owner or by the administrator of this domain. But there is a possibility to change this on the fly by the end user if the end user have permission for doing that. So I will just share with you the link explaining how it can be done. So I will do it in the answer of this. Yeah, so just take a look at this. So it's preliminary configured, but it can be changed by the user having the proper privilege for doing that on the fly at runtime.
Okay, thank you. We have several other questions. Are we able to have the document flow through to an Outlook client instead of moving through the in-system email system? I think that, yeah, we are using like kind of standard capabilities from FNO here, right? So it's...
Yes, we don't have any special emailing features. We are using just the standard emailing. So depending on how you've configured this, can be the SMTP service or Exchange. So it's mostly question not to us, but to the platform team who's responsible for the emailing in finance.
Yeah, I think that basically, yeah, we support we just use standard like platform capabilities here, right? And I think it's also basically the question is the possibility to trace email batch execution when sending PDF final documents, right? So we don't have any special here, right? But you obviously can trace how batch was executing, right? So the standard capabilities. Is it possible to create running total on each output page in PDF?
Yes, because you can calculate the appropriate running values, totals, count, do running counting in GR, and after that you can just put the values on PDF, because in PDF itself, as far as I remember, you have no possibility to do it. In Excel, you can do it. For example, in Excel, you can use Excel formulas, and based on the values GR populates to Excel, Excel can do this calculation, but not PDF. In PDF, you need to do it in GR, just putting to the PDF the final figures.
Yes, but again, we support this totals, right? So you can.
And actually, you can take a look at the link I already shared explaining how the PDF templates could be used. This wiki page contains samples where you can see that on every page you have some totals calculated. So could be used as an example.
Are you able to incorporate secondary document attachment to the final output product?
That's what. I'm not sure whether I understand this question.
So maybe it's just about like additional attachment, right?
From the data sources point of view, GR is capable for doing that, but currently we can't. I would say we can't consider the created document entirely as a source of data to be used for this kind of attachment. So we have this deliverable in our list, but it's not implemented yet. But potentially it's possible, because we can read attachments and we can write attachments. The problem is that we can't convert a generated document to the object that should be attached for now. there is a deliverable for that, but so far there were no many requests regarding this. If it's really business critical to you, just register a new idea on the Dynamics Ideas portal, and we'll consider this. Because
Okay.
at least there were a few questions regarding this already.
Thank you, Nikolay. I think that we almost covered all the questions. So, guys, anything new? I think I would just. I think that's. Yep, I think that we already answered most of these questions. So, thank you, everybody. Right, and again, I think you can follow up with us. Right, we are ready to work with you guys if you have any specific questions. Right, and now I'm switching back to Ross for the final announcement.
Thanks, Mikhail. I just posted a link to a short survey in the Q&A panel. We'd like to get your feedback on today's session and what you might like to see in future sessions. The scores are on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being the highest score possible. Thanks for your participation in that. As a reminder, the recording of today's session will be available on the TechTalk's Community of Dynamics page within 5 business days. Any questions that weren't answered during today's presentation should receive a follow-up. I'd like to extend a big thank you to our presenters, and thank you, audience, for logging in and joining us today. Stay safe and take care.